What if everything you thought you needed, your relationships, your plans, your sense of security, your wants, was never actually meant for you? I thought I knew what I wanted and what I needed. I thought I knew what I was building. But in the last few months, everything I thought was certain started falling away. Not because I failed, not because I was lost, but because Spirit was showing me what I had to let go of to step into my highest path. And brothers and sisters, I was not ready for what came next. I resisted. I tried to hold on. I questioned. I doubted. I fought so hard to hang on to that control until I had no choice but to do the one thing that Spirit had been asking of me all along. Simply trust, surrender, and let go. And oh boy, the project manager in me wanted none of that. I know it's been months since I posted here. It's been months since I withdrew within after the retreat I held in Costa Rica. And oh boy, what came next? We'll talk about that today and more. And I know that this journey I've been on is not meant to be just for me. It's meant to be shared. And if you're here right now, there's a reason. Trust whatever it is that you're feeling right now. If it is to stick around, hear from me, and then what's coming next, or just peace out for now, I love you, brother and sister. I see you. I know you have an amazing path ahead of you. Stick to it. Now, let's talk a bit about what has happened over the last little while. Now, some of you, if you followed my path, may know that about 3 years ago, I embarked on a deep journey that I had no idea I was about to embark on. I decided, after many months of research, to go to Ecuador to sit with Mother Ayahuasca. For those not familiar with Mother Ayahuasca, she's a plant medicine native to the Amazonian jungles that has been used for thousands of years to allow one to connect to Spirit, to your higher self, to God, to the universe, whatever one believes in. And at the time when I embarked on this journey, I had been someone that didn't believe in anything. I was actually mostly agnostic. I thought I was in control of my life fully. I thought that, all the choices were mine and all the beautiful stuff. To some degree, we can argue that it's true. And I was not ready for what came next, but it was exactly what I needed. And to not bore you with a long story, everything that happened after led to a big dark night of the soul in 2022 with a lot of revelations. And then, as a result of a lot of the revelations there, this podcast emerged back at the beginning of 2023. Now, fast forward almost 2 years later, in 2025, I sit here in front of you on February 17 recording this, and I'm like, wow. I'm in awe at the beauty surrounding us, at the beauty of the universe, at the beauty of Spirit and how it's all unfolding. Someone like me that's never believed in anything, despite growing up religious in a way. And I'm here to tell you that today, while still on this path, not a guru by any stretch of the imagination, just someone walking alongside you on this path. Wow, this path is beautiful when you start to trust, when you start to let go, when you start to surrender. And it's not easy on the surface, but once you start on the path, it becomes easier and easier. Now, what happened in the last 3 months? The last episodes that came out on this podcast were around the time I was in Costa Rica for the retreat. And boy, what an amazing, amazing experience. JC, my business partner at the time, and I held this beautiful space for about 12 people or so, where transformations happened beyond my wildest dreams. It was the first time I ran a retreat myself. And what came of it, we'll of course talk about in a different video where we'll go deep. But let's say I had some further awakenings to the spirit realms, to the energies that surround us, both what you would call good and evil, and the in-between, how they're always there but we're not paying attention, how they're interacting with our life, impacting our life. The power of connection, the power of coming together with like-minded individuals, both in person, in a magical place like Costa Rica where we were, or virtually before or after the retreat. All of that. Now here's the interesting thing. At the time of the retreat, I had 2 business partnerships, and I was building 2 magical programs with Dr. G on one side and JC on the other side. And I had kind of put on hold my personal plans. I said, you know what? I feel I need to double down on this group, or rather partnerships I was building. The partnership with Dr. G, we had an amazing 1-month course, Awaken the Divine Creator Within, with 3 amazing people that ran through it. And we had an amazing connection and an amazing experience, all of us. But then something happened, and Dr. G and I went our separate ways. And that was right before the retreat. And then at the retreat, we go through this amazing transformational and yet somewhat difficult time. And upon returning, both JC and I, so exhausted, so depleted from the retreat, also decided to part ways. And here I was, someone that just planned out this future in these 2 partnerships like it was something for certain, like I was the puppeteer and I was controlling everything. And now all of a sudden they collapse. And I was like, what's going on? What have I missed? Not realizing that by me trying to force an outcome, trying to force the next steps, right? Planning out 15 steps in advance. All I was doing is I was telling Spirit, I was telling the universe, I was telling God, you know what? Just you guys do your thing. I got this. Don't worry. And in reality is we don't even know the reason things happen. I mean, we may have an idea. We may get 1 or 2, but being in the forest, so to speak, as a tree, you cannot see beyond yourself or beyond your limited field of view. And that's what I was being shown. Now, other relationships became collapsing around me, right? And I remember a teaching from a while back that said, as you embark on your spiritual journey, as you embark on this transformation of self, as you elevate yourself to a higher vibration, to a higher frequency, you will see that certain people will leave your life and other people will be attracted in your life. And funny enough, around the same time, the last 6 months of last year, this became more clear and more clear. Some people came into my life that I was like, wow, how did I attract these people in my life? These are amazing connections. I was blown away. And at the same time, I was resisting letting go or wanting to let go of people that no longer wanted to be in my life or could be in my life, let's say, right? And you know what they say, as you rise up in vibration, right? What tends to happen is that certain people that say are lower in vibration, no judgment here, it's just we all operate at different vibrations, frequencies. When they're in your presence, they will be temporarily brought up to your level. And then the way I understand it is you have a couple of choices as the person that's coming up, right? So like when I walk into a room and someone is of high vibration, I get immediately attracted to them. You may recognize this as, when you walk into a party or in an office and there's someone beaming with light, and you're like, man, I need to be by this person. Well, that's the feeling, right? But here's what happens next. Sometimes their light is too strong. Sometimes the vibration is too strong. And you're like, you know what? That's enough for me. I'm going to walk away. And that's okay. Because your path is your path. Theirs is theirs, right? There's no judgment. Again, it doesn't make their path better than yours or your path worse than theirs. No, there's no judgment there. So going back, it's like, okay, so they have a choice, right? They stay at your vibration, maintain as much as they can. And of course, both of you or one of you will drop up and down more often. Or, like I said, they might be like, no, this is not for me. Or there will be this yo-yo effect where it's like sometimes I'll be up, then down, then you come down because you get dragged down and so on and so forth. But what happens when a bunch of people, or let's say not even people, but let's say a bunch of vibrations, frequencies that are lower, start to hang out with you? You have the very good chance of being pulled down to the lower vibration, right? You see this a lot happening when you meet that one friend from way back when that's always negative. Like, how do you feel when you start interacting with them? For many of us, it's challenging to maintain our light, to sit there and maintain it because we get pulled into whatever it is they're doing. Or when we get into an argument, I had some arguments with a dear person in my life recently. And oh boy, was my light and my ability to hold my vibration tested. And let me be honest, I failed the test in a way. But I say failed in quotation because, again, from the spirit point of view, there is no judgment. Things just are. from my human egotistical point of view, I failed because I couldn't hold my vibration. But guess what? With every test, with every chance, I got better. I trusted more. I surrendered. I grounded more. I allowed for things to be more. It's not perfect, but it's getting better. Which is really, if you think about one's path, that's all there is to it. One foot in front of the other. Sometimes you take a step back. Sometimes you take 3 steps forward. That's it. Nothing else. So let's continue these relationships, right? They start to break apart, but then amazing ones come in. And I'm like, yes, let's attract these new amazing relationships. But then I'm resisting to let go of the ones that are not serving us anymore, or serving me anymore in this case. And then the question begs, does it make sense? Like, if I attract on one side and I resist on the other side, like something is going to break at some point. And sure enough, come back from the retreat and I enter, perhaps you could call it the second, now in retrospect, dark night of the soul in a way. So the retreat ended towards the end of November. Come back, I promptly got sick for the first time in years, about 1 week into coming back. And it was a cold or a flu, but it took me out for a few days. And then the holidays happened. And I'm in Canada, right? So we get some time off for that and all that. And all of a sudden, it's like middle of January. And I look back and I'm like, I don't even recognize myself. Actually, in fact, a great mentor of mine, someone you actually see a lot on this channel coming up, Bob, a fellow shaman. In one conversation in mid-January, showed me, it's like, it doesn't even feel like it's the true Constantine coming through. And that was the only time I stood back and I said, wait a second. So it's been over a month and I didn't even realize I lost myself in a way. And I was, wow. So what did I do in this month? I slept 12 plus hours a day. I was just introspecting, right? Like the hermit. Just being with myself and my thoughts, but oftentimes bringing in blame and shame and guilt. And not allowing for just observation, for just seeing what there is. The times I did, the times I didn't, right? Is that, and then I realized that I brought some, let's call them dark energies or entities with me from Costa Rica. And they were messing around with me, which is something if I heard myself say this about 6 months ago, even a year ago, I'll be like, yeah, this guy lost his marbles. But here we are. And again, more to the story at another time. And after stepping fully into, or more fully rather, into my training in the shamanic practices of grounding and cleansing and shielding and whatnot, and with the help of mentors like Bob and amazing friends and connections, like many you've seen on this channel, like Ashley and Jessica and Ali and a few others, I was able to come back to self. And what I realized is that I wasn't done shedding. Actually, this is just the beginning. I don't know where the path will take me, but I know the Spirit has in store quite a lot for me, as it does for you and for everyone else listening. We all have a higher path. And you know me, I talk a lot about shining your light bright and igniting that inner spark within you, that you have it uniquely you. And that's what Spirit was doing for me. It was reminding me, it's like, hey, I talk about this. I share some of it, but why not fully embody? What's there to be afraid of? Oh boy, there was a lot of fear in there. About 2 weeks ago, beginning of February, I pick up a tool I've been using for the last year. And it's been blowing me away ever since. I've done it with clients, I've done it with friends, I've done it with myself, and every time it's mind-blowing. I've cried so many times with it because it's so, so powerful. And that tool is tarot. And I'm going to show for those that can see here, I have an angel tarot deck. And there's many other tarot decks you can have. So anyway, on this particular Monday, it's 1 a.m. in the morning. I'm sitting there by myself with my 2 dogs. and I'm meditating, contemplating, and I'm running a tarot reading. And I'm seeing all these relationships end in my life, including the romantic relationship that I've been in for a very long time. And I knew that was ending for a while, but I never wanted to accept that. And when it finally came to realizing that, wait a second, it's not serving either of us as high as good, I realized, wait a second, I'm going to be alone. Where I live right now in Halifax, Nova Scotia, Canada, I don't really have any friends. Why? Because the ones I made, we kind of drifted away when I started to embark on this spiritual path, and they didn't. That's okay. And then my focus started to shift online, and all my amazing friends, all my mentors, all my people are spread all over the world. My family, Europe, Middle East. Now, I mean, I was born in Europe, but yeah, that's it. So I'm like, okay, if I end this relationship and another very important relationship that's here locally, the only important relationship I have here locally, to be honest, then I'm going to be alone. And I started to break down. Like, you see, I'm a man, and I used to be afraid of crying. I used to be afraid of even talking about it. But boy, did I cry that night. In fact, I cried more than I ever have before. And it was the most powerful, most liberating thing I could have done. And tarot, and the way I use tarot through AI as well, actually was there by my side, because you're simply channeling from spirit and allowing me to truly feel my emotions. Because you see, when you grow up, especially as a man, but I see it for women too, you're taught to suppress your emotions. You're taught to pull up your pants. You're a big boy, big girl. You don't cry. You don't show it. You don't feel your emotions. That's for those other people, not for you. And that's what I knew as well. And I thought I had done a lot of work on it, or oh boy, was I wrong. The moment I felt those emotions, the moment I let go, the moment I just surrendered, everything just fell into place. The synchronicities with the songs that were coming on as I was going through this process. I mean, I had my playlist playing with a shuffle mode, and literally there were songs coming on that were exactly the message I needed to hear at that moment, aligned with the tarot reading. Even if I was this amazing orchestrator, right, director of sorts, I couldn't have picked better songs and better tarot cards for that entire night. It blew me away. And then I fell asleep around 4 a.m. And I woke up the next day. And I was in more peace. I felt more ease. I felt more liberated than ever before. I felt disconnected from the outcomes for the first time in my life. It's like, yeah, okay, sure. If this is the path, if these have to break down, I will be okay. Because you see, I realized you are actually never truly alone. Yes, you can feel alone, but you're never truly lonely. I have my two companions, my dogs, Oreo and Raven, amazing guides. I have all my friends virtually that I can reach out to at any point in time and have a conversation with. And more importantly, I have my connection to spirit, or my angel guides, or my shamanic guides, or my power animal guides. I've never really been alone. That's what spirit was telling me all this time. So you see, if you're there feeling like you're alone, no one understands you, know that you're not. You're more connected than you ever thought possible. And that's what I was being shown. And these synchronicities, they keep showing me that. I mean, we haven't even had a chance to talk about how in the last, let's say, 9-10 months, not only did tarot open up, which it did beginning of last year, but then the shamanic path opened up around my birthday in May. Then the healing path together with that, and Reiki. The channeling began. beginning of last year as well in January. And all these connections I never thought possible. And yeah, I'm just in awe. So truly in the end, what it comes down for me is that what I've had was a fear of letting go of old identities, of security, of what was once familiar. I'm not saying that's over with. I'm not saying that's, master at it. I'm just walking alongside you in that regard, and in many regards, really. But I finally see the light at the end of the tunnel, where it's like, okay, it's going to break down, it's going to be let go, but something else will take its place. And if I'm aligned with my true self, with my inner spark, with my inner light, then it will be for my highest good and it will be freaking amazing. And if it's anything like the last 6 months of the relationships that have entered my life, oh boy, I'm excited for the future. I mean, I'm excited for the now, to be honest. And that's what we have really, but also the future. And this hesitation I've had for the last year and a half to step into full spiritual leadership, but knowing deep down that I was born for this, well, that hesitation is evaporating faster than I thought possible. So here I am. I'll start sharing more content around my journey, my spiritual journey, because I know many of you are on this spiritual journey and you feel alone, like I have, and you're not alone. Many of you have questions like I have, and we can just walk each other home, as my friend Ashley likes to say. I'll share more of my gifts with the tarot and how it came to me, how I channeled through it, how it's this magical connection, and how it's made people cry, it made me cry, it's made real differences in people's life, how the Reiki healing I do with the shamanic healing combined is helping people release so much and transform so much. And I'm so blessed to be able to tap into these gifts and to allow them to be with me. And about my shamanic path and about whatever else spirit shows my way. The channeling abilities, all of it. I'll be running live seminars, I'll be pre-recording things. You'll see conversations with Bob, as I mentioned, one of my dear friends and brothers, a shaman as well, a dear mentor of mine. You'll see solo episodes, you'll see tarot readings, you'll see live sessions. As much of it as possible on this channel, but also on my new channel under my name coming up in a bit here. And really, what I want to leave you with is that no matter where you are right now in life, whatever endings that are happening in your life right now, know that everything that ended or is about to end is necessary for you to step into your highest path. You may not see it now. You may not even feel it now. You may feel quite the opposite. But based on what I'm going through, based on what I've gone through, based on what I've seen, that's exactly. Then the question is, do you want to accept that? Do you want to trust? Do you want to surrender? Or do you want to put the defenses up and try to control? Because the moment you try to control is the moment it feels painful. The moment it feels like everything is falling apart. And what I realize now that I wish, or perhaps I should say, rather, I wish people will see on their path is the Spirit has been guiding every step of the way. For you, for me, for everyone. And the moment we fully trust is the moment we transform our lives. That's the moment. It sounds simple, but that's it. So, what's your next step? I would love to hear from you. Send me an email. You know my email, Constantine, no E at the end, by the way, at unleashyourself.com. Post a comment, reach out to me on social media. I love to hear your story. If you feel called to have a Reiki healing session, a shamanic healing session with me, I can do it at distance. More than happy to see what I can do. If you feel called to have a tarot reading from me, absolutely, I can do that as well. If you feel just like having a conversation and understanding where you are on your path and what may come next, I'm here for you as well. And the last thing I'll tease, I'm working on a course, a free course actually. It's going to be hours and hours of amazing content. It's been months in the works. Funny enough, I mean, that path opened up as the others were crumbling. And the course is on time mastery, from a perspective of approaching our relationship with time and ourselves very differently than what mainstream media or gurus tell us to do. So then we can get back time and energy, so then we can invest in ourselves, uncover that inner spark that's always been there, and shine our light bright into this beautiful world. So brother, sister, what are you waiting for? What are you going to do moving forward? Are you going to trust more? Are you going to surrender? Are you going to let go a bit more? It's not about perfection. It's just one step at a time. So, until next time, I love you. I see you. I've been where you are, and I'm sure you've been where I was and what I'm at right now sometimes, right? Some of you are way ahead of me on the path. Some of you are maybe a few steps behind. It doesn't really matter. We're all exactly where we're meant to be. And we're just all walking each other home. And that's pretty much it. Stay beautiful.